All right, today we're diving into a project that's trying to build, well, the foundational roads and bridges for the future of the internet. It's called Project Smoot, and it's tackling one of the single biggest hurdles in the entire decentralized world. Let's get right into it.
So picture this. Our digital world is like a huge ocean, filled with thousands of powerful, incredible islands. Each one of those islands is a blockchain, a thriving ecosystem all on its own. But here's the problem. They're completely isolated. They just can't talk to each other. And this fragmentation, it's the biggest thing holding the entire ecosystem back from really truly taking off.
Now, the fancy technical term for this problem is a lack of interoperability. But really, it's simple. It's like trying to send a text from your iPhone to someone who only has a landline from 1985. There's just no shared language, no direct line of communication. And that means no easy data sharing, no direct transactions, just a lot of friction and missed opportunities.
So how in the world do you get all these different digital nations to finally speak the same language? We have got to create a new universal standard. And that, right there, is where Project Smoot enters the picture.
But to really get what this project is all about, we actually have to take a quick trip back in time, all the way back to 1958 on a bridge at MIT. And yeah, this is where the project gets its pretty unusual name. So the story goes that a bunch of MIT students decided to measure the Harvard Bridge by using one of their fraternity pledges, a guy named Oliver Smoot. Seriously, they used his body length over and over again to measure the whole bridge. And just like that, the Smoot became this new, kind of silly but surprisingly enduring standard of measurement. It was a creative fix to a simple problem.
And that's the perfect metaphor for what's happening here. Just like Oliver Smoot became the common ruler for measuring a physical bridge, Project Smoot wants to be the common framework for building digital bridges. It's about creating that universal standard so all these blockchains can finally communicate.
Now, the philosophy behind this is super important. Project Smoot, which was first kicked off by OneChain, isn't some private company building a proprietary toll road. No way. It's a totally open-source framework, and it's hosted by the Linux Foundation, so it's on completely neutral ground. The whole point is to make sure no single company controls it and to keep it as a public good that anyone can use and build on top of.
And just look at who's at the table here. This is not a small-time operation. You've got OneChain bringing the core cross-chain tech. You have Adhara and R3 who are deep in the world of enterprise and finance. Then there's the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance setting the standards, and of course the Linux Foundation making sure the governance stays neutral. This is a coalition of some real heavy hitters all working together to build this foundational piece of the internet.
Okay, so we've got the why and the who, but how does this thing actually work? Let's break down the blueprint. It's actually this really elegant, simple, three-layer design that's meant to build a true internet of blockchains.
The entire system is broken down into these three layers. And the best way to think about it is like a set of Legos. This modular structure gives developers a ton of flexibility. They can just pick and choose the pieces they need for whatever they're building. It's not one size fits all, it's a toolkit.
So at the very bottom, you have the messaging layer. You can think of this as the system's ultra-secure mail truck. Its one and only job is to pick up a package of data from one blockchain, drive it securely over to another one, and prove that the package is authentic and nobody messed with it along the way. This layer is the absolute foundation of trust. Without it, nothing else works.
Moving up, we get to the function call layer. Now, this is like a universal remote control. It lets a smart contract on one blockchain, say chain A, press a button that makes something happen on a totally different blockchain, chain B. It could be triggering a payment, executing a trade, anything. It makes these remote actions feel like they're happening right there. This is what unlocks action across all those digital islands.
And finally, sitting at the very top, you've got the application layer. This is where developers come in and build the actual products and services that you and I would use. This layer handles all the complex stuff that happens across different chains. So for instance, a supply chain app could automatically trigger a payment on a finance chain the second a delivery is confirmed on a logistics chain. This is where the real magic happens for the end user.
And here's a really key takeaway. The team behind Project Smoot didn't just invent all these rules out of thin air. The entire framework is built to be a reference for a major industry standard, the one created by the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance for how blockchains should talk to each other. That gives it instant credibility and a clear runway for adoption in serious, enterprise-level settings. Okay, now this is where the story gets really, really interesting.
In September 2025, something huge happened that basically supercharged the entire project. Another critical interoperability lab called Harmonia merged directly into Project Smoot.
And Harmonia wasn't just some random project. It was backed by enterprise giants, Adara and R3, and their entire focus was on the super complex, high-stakes world of regulated finance. We're talking about things like legal finality, strict regulatory compliance, and the kind of heavy-duty security that the world's biggest banks demand.
And they'd already proven their model worked. Harmonia ran these landmark trials that showed it was possible to get trustless settlement between two of the biggest enterprise networks on the planet, R3's Corda and Hyperledger Besu. I mean, this was a massive breakthrough for institutional finance.
And you want to know who was involved in testing this tech? We're talking about Goldman Sachs, Santander, and UBS. Right. When those are the names kicking the tires on your project, you know it's being built for the highest possible level of financial scrutiny.
And now, all of that institutional DNA, the regulatory knowledge, the compliance frameworks, the battle-tested code, it's all fully baked into Project Smoot. This merger basically fused a flexible, agile, open-source framework with an institutional-grade, ready-for-business rulebook.
So let's zoom out and pull this all together. We have the wild origin story, the clever technology, and the major league players. But why does this one project matter so much in the grand scheme of things? Well, according to the Linux Foundation, the global economic value that open-source software creates is nearly $9 trillion. Foundational open infrastructure projects like Smoot, they're the rails that trillions of dollars in future value are going to be built on top of. This is all about creating a public good, not just another product.
And that really is the ultimate vision here. The goal for Project Smoot is to be the open, neutral plumbing for what people are calling the open tokenized economy. It's the base-level infrastructure that could let everything, from stocks and real estate to fine art, move freely and securely across a global network of networks.
And the project isn't just sitting still. The roadmap ahead includes adding even stronger privacy features, expanding support to connect to even more blockchains, and building out new tools to make regulatory compliance even easier for big companies. It's always evolving.
Which, of course, brings us to the big final question. With its open-source heart, its powerful backers, and this really unique blend of agile tech and institutional seriousness, could Project Smoot be the framework that finally tears down the walls between thousands of blockchains and unites the decentralized world? Only time will tell, for sure, but the blueprint is definitely in place.